in a bid to zone the presidency to the south. Some governors on the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, have initiated moves to convince former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, a northerner, to accept the post of chairman of the Board of Trustees of the party. Atiku, a perennial presidential candidate, if we may say so, has never hidden his desire to rule Nigeria and is expected to throw his heart into the presidential contest for a record 6th time ahead of the 2023 elections. However, the governors seeking a power shift have reached out to their colleagues in the Northeast to mount pressure on Atiku to accept to succeed Senator Wali Jibrin, whose tenure as chairman of the PDP Board of Trustees will expire before the 2023 elections. The PDP had zoned its national chairmanship post to the north, raising the prospects of a power shift to the south. But this has not stopped the likes of former Vice President Atiku and former Senate President Bukola Saraki from indicating their intention to contest for the presidential ticket of the main opposition party. Now joining us to discuss the renewed push for power shift in the PDP and how far the governors are willing to go without causing divisions within the party's fold is Emmanuel Ogidi, former National Vice Chairman of the PDP South-South. Good morning, Mr. Ogidi, and welcome to the Morning Show.
Good morning, viewers. Dr. Rube.
Good morning. Happy New Year. Please go ahead.
Nice to hear from you again.
Well,
Tundu.
Good morning,
Happy
sir.
New Year.
Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year, sir.
Happy New Year, sir.
well, quickly.
What kind of hairstyle is that?
I don't know what it's called, as long as you like it. As long as you like it, it's good.
Well, I see you notice the Tundu's there. That's a good one in the new year. But quickly, let's go to... Let's go to...
You can't miss it at all.
Let's go to business. This whole point about permutations within the PDP, is it now settled that there's a consensus that the presidential candidate should come from the South? Then there's that other issue about the attempt to persuade former Vice President Atiku Abubakar to retire to the role of a statesman instead of seeking the party's presidential ticket in 2023. Where are we really?
I don't want to ask you where you got that. I don't know how you got this, where you got this information from. But anyway, you recall that the national chairman reassured us recently again that he's going to play the politics of consultation and so on. That's what the PDP is for. I know in this game of politics, you don't sit down to have power, you rest power. The Southern governors, the APC and PDP met, and they advocated that power should shift to the north. So the one who fly on them, the governors, to make consultation. That's what we expect them to do. I'm sure that's what they're doing. But after the consultation, you say you have to come back to the party. It's the party that will take that final decision. So really, what anybody is doing is okay.
Yeah.
If you ask me because I'm from the South, I say, well, no. Why shouldn't we have it? If you ask me personally, because we have what it takes. But you know, in this game of politics, you cannot sit down and get whatever you want. So I'm happy people are moving around, discussing. Because it's not just about presidency, everything is about Nigeria. What do we want in Nigeria? Because Nigeria today is on a thin line of disintegration. I was listening to you this morning, where you were giving us the audit report of 178,000 rifles missing from police. And police is supposed to protect us. Yet they cannot look after their arms and ammunition. Then we're in trouble. So we'll look at a candidate that has the capacity to manage the crisis. And after managing the insecurity, also get somebody who can manage the economy. Because these are two critical areas. So first, let us look at Nigeria. What does Nigeria need at this time? We need a president that's capable of handling the insecurity, that's capable of managing the economy, that's capable of reuniting Nigeria. Because we are so divided today. So the media president is capable. You see, our governors are moving around. Yes, they'll move around definitely. They have colleagues. But you see, we have 36 states in Abuja. So it's not going to be only about PDP governments. At the end of the day, they also consult their colleagues. In fact, the most important thing is Nigerians. Who do Nigerians want? Because whichever candidate you present today, it is Nigerians that will decide that PDP, yes, you have given us the best candidate. We'll vote for you.
Indeed,
APC, you've had your time. Yes, I'm listening.
Right. Well, it's still in the realm of speculation at this point, but there are reports that Atiku Abubakar will be offered the chairmanship of the BOT. I mean, this would be a pretty poor substitute for somebody who has been vying for the presidency for the past 30 years and has come close. But my question for you is that if that offer is made by the PDP, if the PDP does go ahead to zone the presidency to the south, will Atiku Abubakar accept it? For the sake of peace within the party and that sort of internal democracy, rather than, as you've said, power is not given, you take it.
You see, His Excellency Atiku Abubakar is first in Nigeria. Second is a Democrat. He knows the rule. But I'm not aware of this about. I'm not in his mind. I'm not in his caucus. So I can't answer that question. But one thing I know is that he likes to play by the rule. He wants to go to any contest and whatever the church to get, he abides by it. He will have to abide by it. So that's how I look at it. Does that answer you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so he has to abide by the rules, and that obviously means the end of the road for his ambitions for the past 30 years. Because another thing...
I didn't say the end of the road.
No, hang on a minute.
No, but what the party decides. You see, let me give you a heads up. You recall that in 2019, when we had so many aspirants, we had meetings with them because then I was also part of the NWC. They all signed up with us that whoever emerges, they are going to support the person. That's the rule of the party. When we meet, you see, we have various levels of meeting. After all of this thing, you have the caucus. You have the BOT meeting. They will come to NEC. Once the NEC has agreed, they will go to the convention. That's the procedure. I hope you get it right. So it's not about him. It's about the party.
No, but,
and then Nigerians.
No, but he's got ambition. That's what I'm saying. If this doesn't work out for him, it's obviously the end of the road. You know, he's got ambition. He's been trying. He's tried with many different political parties in the past. Another thing is...
the party.
And another thing a lot of people are saying is his age. His age is another factor. He's not a young man. He's tilting towards his 80s. So if he doesn't do it this time, I'm not sure that Nigerians are ready for a president in his 80s.
Well, when you are talking, you know, you're in the media, so you can feel the pulse of Nigerians. He is also a Nigerian and can also feel the pulse of Nigerians. Because the ambition, an individual ambition, and then you now go into your family, which is called the PDP family. The PDP family says, sorry, You've done your best. We can't have you this time. There's nothing he can do. He understands it better than me and you. He's been in the game.
Anyway, Ed
He doesn't
Ogidi.
answer you now. Yes, please.
Ed Ogidi, I don't want to take you up further on the Atiku question, because the perception out there is that you're an Atiku man and that, you've been a consistent Atiku man. But I wanted your views on the... Yes,
No,
you want to comment on that before I ask my question?
Yeah, let me comment on it. First, I'm a PDP man. And once the party decides on the candidate, we all go out of the candidate. All the people we are seeing today that are going around, I'm also close to them. We share views. The most important thing is that whoever we merge will not hide his, what they call joker. He has to put the joker on the table. So I don't know where that one is coming from. If you know President and former Vice President Atiku, he's a likable person. That's why I'm married. So when they say I'm an Atiku person, they're not.
Okay. Well, that's not for me a big issue, but I would like your comments on the Electoral Act Amendment Bill, which has been a subject of controversy, particularly with regard to the question of direct primary and the rights of the political parties to decide on whatever mode of primary they want. And Nigerians are waiting for the National Assembly to reconvene in January and for us to know whether they would amend the clause that the president objects to or withdraw it completely and then represent the bill, or they will veto the president. Where do you stand on this particular matter?
No, I tell you where my party stands. I think against that. Because the party should be allowed to decide what they want, direct or indirect. But the National Assembly responsibility, let me for the first time commend the President Buhari for detecting that. But unfortunately, he's trying to use that to frustrate the wherever that one ever came from. I'm sure it will be thrown out. But I'm joining those who are praying that Buhari should sign the Electoral Act, removing that clause where it was added. The PDP, we're so used to our own, I don't know where it is, APC, in trying to distribute the country further, encourage the National Assembly to smuggle that in. But it has been found out. I don't think the National Assembly want to get to that anyway, because they know that that was already added without the consensus of the houses. So we are hoping. And once that bill is signed, and then we are good to go, then I can believe that we can have a credible election. Although again, let me tell you, whatever method you want to use, as long as the umpire is biased, we are still going to have a problem. INEC is a big.
How so, sir? How is INEC a big problem? I'd like you to expand on that. And also, should the...
I'll give you an example.
Okay, please go ahead.
No, let me give you an example. Growing up, there was a day I went to... I was in Port Harcourt. I wore jeans and shirts to watch a football match 12 years ago. From nowhere, they just called me after I should referee the game. I said, but no, it's wrong. Why? It is a competition. They said, no. We understand you're a footballer. Please come and referee the game for us. I looked at it. They said, no, but you're supposed to have professional referees and linesmen. They said, no. You come. Choose your linesman. I said, okay. I went to the field. I took a position on a particular issue. You see, the people watching the game, they know when they referee. That's the case. I blew a foul, a penalty. The crowd, they were hailing me. But the players didn't like it. So when I talk about the umpire, Nigerians are also looking. They know when the umpire is not being fair or straight. That's what I mean by umpire. You see, once all the law is in place, the person operating the law is very critical. Because we have done this thing now, we have conducted the election. We know how we do the election. No politician. That's where I'm coming from.
Okay, sir. Let's take a look now. In the eventuality that PDP does zone the presidency to the south, let's look at the governors. And can you just assess their strengths and weaknesses for us? Because the news is that the governors, PDP governors, are insisting that presidential candidates and running mates should be from their ranks of PDP governors. So you have governors Udom, Wike, Makinde, Okoa, and Obaseki, of course. I forgot his name in PDP. And Obaseki. What are their strengths and weaknesses?
You're reading that are performing governors. That's very good. That shows that our governors are performing. For me, it will be difficult to pick because they're all performing governors. Take my governor, for instance. He's a very silent operator. He has transformed the state. You ask me, I will have said him. Then you want to go to a Bible. He has also done everything well. He's in River State. He has also done well. So they all have their potentials. And I'm very happy that I'm a PDP man, that our governors are doing well. But sometimes, this game of politics is not about who is doing well or who has done the best. It's about God. You see, when people brought up Buhari, God allowed it. But today, we all know why God brought him out. To tell Nigerians something. And what is that thing? Before this time, Buhari had tried to rule this country. He had given us all kinds of promises. Where are we today? Do you know people will have reverenced him before now? But God said, let him go. God never wanted it. But because Nigerians were yearning for him, God said, let him go. Where do we find ourselves today? But I think God knows that we have suffered enough. We have suffered enough. So it's going to give us a president that will unite us. If it's on the south, why not? We will be there. If it's on the north, why not? But in this game that the southern governments are taking position, they should not rest on their arm. They should also go to the north. I'm happy that some of them in the north will also share their sentiments. So they should go around. But this issue today is about the governments. They're not the only ones that can do it. All those who are leaders, elders of the various of our parties should assist. Because it's a huge, huge tax. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy. It's not going to be easy.
Right. You said God gave us Buhari. Is it God that gave us Buhari or the failures of your party, the PDP, that gave us Buhari?
No, when God approved, no, what I mean by God, God allowed Buhari. Listen.
But Buhari campaigned on the failures of the PDP, didn't he? He campaigned on the failings of your party.
No,
Your promises over the years. That's what he campaigned on. And he campaigned on corruption in the PDP.
It was all about lies. It was all about lies, social media hype. But Nigerians have seen it today that they told lies against us. That does not mean to say we didn't have our shortcomings. We had, but not the way the APC painted it. APC painted a picture of the devil, that PDP was the problem of Nigeria. They had the solution. Because Nigerians were looking for solution, they believe them. You see, the good about Nigeria, we will believe you when you come and say you have this, you have this, you have that. But at the end of the day, I don't betray it. They have nothing on the table. Look at the minister of still lying till today. Still lying. What are we talking about? Let's get too worked up in January. We have just started the year. although the timetable is very tight, and I believe that we will not rest that far. But the assurance that God don't want to give Nigerians that the candidate PDP will bring will be the candidate for Nigeria, not for PDP. And PDP by the grace of God will win the election. That is our consideration.
Well, Elder Ogidi, is the PDP really prepared at the level of strategy for these 2023 general elections? Because there are just a moment. There are people who say, well, the election is for the PDP to lose. But the same people say, well, looking at the party, it looks like the party, too many ego conflicts, too many big men across the spectrum, and that in itself could be an advantage to the APC. Do you think that the PDP is really ready?
You see, we have, for the past 4 years, we have gone back to the drawing board. We have been doing our homework. It's just that we cannot tell you TV because we don't want it to frustrate our efforts. But as it unfolds, we'll be seeing what we're doing. And when it gets to that day, Nigerians will actually know that yes, PDP is ready. We're ready. We're good to go. But we are going to be unveiling it because we have our templates. It's not a template of a one-day execution. No, it's a period of time. You'll see it.
Well, how is the party?
By the second week, you see it.
No, how is the party planning to manage, for example, what looks like a conflict between incumbent governors who will be completing their second term and who want another position at the highest level, and former governors within the PDP? Some of them, went to other political parties. They've come back and they are interested. Don't you think that that in itself could be a major threat to the party?
You see, I don't know that Nigeria is huge. Nigeria is a huge country. Everybody, including you and myself, has a place in Nigeria. It's only those who don't understand governance. You know what I'm talking about. It's only those who don't understand governance that will think that there will be no place for anybody. There's a place for everybody. But we are praying that some should not be too greedy. That's where it's like robbers. Why did they catch them? After they've done all the plans. One man want to kill everybody and eat the money. That's what normally happens to them. But that's not what happens in the politics. Because there are so many offices. In fact, you can even create the ones that don't even exist. And they know it. So there will be no problem. No.
Right. So what are the preparations like? Are your preparations underway? I imagine they must be for the first Ekiti and then Osun elections. I'm sure PDP is gearing up for primaries, and that issue of primaries within political parties has been really topical. What is your take on that controversy?
Well, that's why I said we need to take it in installment. For 2 elections ahead of us, and we have to win those elections. And that will encourage us that yes, we are doing well. If we don't win those elections, we're going to have some problems. So, like I said, it's a timeline. I'll be taking it in installment, until we get to the final one. But you can be sure that we're going to take back Ekiti, take back Osun. That's what we're. That is our concentration now. Okay. But that doesn't stop the other plans for the part.
Okay. You've got some lofty ambitions, but I'd like to ask, going back to this presidential ticket squabble, if the governors are trying to have their way, then what happens to the likes of Bukola Sarakis of this world? That are equally is eyeing that presidency. Eh?
Bukola Sarakis is a former governor.
Yeah, if the present governors are trying to have their way, then what happens to the former governors? What happens to someone like Bukola Saraki, former Senate president?
Let me also explain to you. these present governors and the former governors, they have what they call esprit de corps. Just as we have it in the army or in the police, we also have it in politics. Because they're also going to be former governors. In a few months and a few years time. Most of our governors today, by the time they have their candidates, say by August or so, people will not be minding them again. They will look at candidates. So they know that too. So it's about us protecting Nigeria. I believe strongly that's what they are thinking of. That you think they are talking about themselves alone? No, I don't believe so. It's not about themselves. They're talking about Nigeria. Because they will say, in your quiet moment, you sit down and ask, is it only about us? No, it's not only about them. It's about Nigeria. But because they have the means of what it takes now, that's why you see them getting along. They're consulting. They know.
Anyway, and Ogidi, in his New Year message, President Buhari more or less gave his administration a pass mark in terms of how his administration has been able to hold the country together, address the yet even if unresolved challenges of national security, and pursue vigorously what he calls the C agenda on security, the economy, and the anti-corruption campaign. Before he gave that New Year message, we had Alhaji Lai Mohammed giving us a very robust, comprehensive breakdown of what the administration has done in various sectors. Well, I see you are laughing, but at least, the Minister of Information backed up his claims with clear evidence of achievements that have been made. Don't you think that this in itself is a way of the administration saying, look, this is what we have done, and we deserve a second chance? Where does that leave the PDP? The same party that the APC is accusing of leaving no money in the treasury and having been responsible for all of Nigeria's woes. How do you counterbalance, this narrative?
I listened to Professor Kila immediately after the minister's comment. I just laughed. Professor Kila did a lot of how do you call it in medicine? Okay, in biology we talk about dissection. We dissected the whole thing. It's all lies. And you know it. That's why I've been laughing. Even the unborn children know that this government has failed. President Buhari has been talking, we are winning corruption, we are winning this, we are winning that. This morning, you were discussing the world as of now, as at the audit report of 2019. Well, you judge for yourself. The insecurity, judge for yourself. The economy, judge for yourself. I was listening to the governor of Central Bank. He was rolling out what he was saying over the years on agriculture, so many things. Judge for yourself. Nigerians have judged. One on the streets, you can hear them. Even those who supported them today, none of them can come out in the open again. Sometimes you say social media. But if you call their names, nobody wants to hear it again. It's bad news. Give them the third chance. They're giving them 2 terms. 2. So you want to give them the third one? No. I think that's wiser. And I believe that they're going to give them the red card. They already have the yellow card. They have admitted it indirectly. They have the yellow card. Those who have the red card. You can see that up till now they are still discussing their comment. They are saying it's going to be February. Up till now they can do it. We finish that one. See how we are moving on. Everybody's happy. Even those who lost out in the elections, we have reached out to them. We are discussing with them. Because the PDP is a big family. In fact, Nigeria is a bigger family. But you need a springboard to reach Nigeria. And PDP has created that platform for us to reach the larger Nigeria. And we are promised that we're not going to disappoint them. I'm 100% with our national chairman. He's going to give us a direction, going to give us leadership. I won't fall behind him. Right now, I'm just talking about somebody person, as somebody who's very interested. We're just waiting for the next 2 weeks. We'll go back to Abuja again. Chairman, we've had enough of this holiday. Let's move on. So from after the next 2 weeks, you see what we're doing. But as for the APC, this January speech, nothing to write about. The only thing he said that was exciting was when he was signing the budget. He said, this money that they brought, I don't know, it was only 800 and something billion that he discussed with the finance to be added, but how those other ones came up, I'm not aware. You see the house collapsing. So, we're watching.
Well, thank you very much, Elder Ogidi, and I like your optimism about 2023. Let's see what happens. But what we must all realize is that at the end of the day, it is the Nigerian people that we decide and must decide. Thank you for joining us.